to make a beef?
Yeah.
Okay.
So here we are with Dr. Jesse on his garden. It's about, what is it, less than a quarter of an acre?
I don't know. The fencing is about 60 feet by 60 feet.
And you've been working on this for at least 10 months, is that correct?
Correct, yep.
And there's been a lot of trial and error. But when I witnessed is that you took this wheelbarrow over here and went out into the fields where the cows were and loaded it up with cow dung and brought it back. And then maybe you'd like to talk about how you were trying to get the soil to a certain temperature and how you accomplished that.
Sure. Well, yeah, my main goals, one of my main goals for the garden has been soil building and just trying to learn about how to build the soil. Because I'm learning about gardening from scratch, basically. And so the research that I've done led me to believe one of the basic tenets you want to do is you want to build up your soil. If you're not building your soil, then you're exploiting your soil. And every season, every year that progresses, your soil is going to become more and more depleted. So you're either going one way or you're going the other way. So you have to be building your soil. And so yeah, when I started off, I had a big compost pile, which was I was just composting cow dung and hay. And yeah, trying to get that up to a certain temperature. And that was successful. The pile was ultimately smaller than my needs, so I used all of it pretty quickly. And from there, I just started collecting cow dung from the field and using that directly in the soil and then planting into that. What I've read is doing that, you want to give it a little bit of time from when it comes out of the cow to when you plant in it, to let the manure mellow out a little bit.
So it's dry?
Yeah, it's dry. But even then, I mean, I've seen some stuff online that says that's not even so necessary. With cow dung is the most forgiving of all manures. For one, we know from the Vedas that it's actually antiseptic. Of course, modern science corroborates this. So it'll actually eliminate and prevent pathogens from getting into your soil, which can then affect the plants and perhaps even affect humans later on. So it's good for that. And it's just a very mellow fertilizer. So it's not going to burn out your seeds as much as, say, like chicken manure or another type of manure might. So anyway, yeah, what I've tried to do here is with the soil building, the only substances that I've added to my garden. One is cow dung. That's the main thing I've added. The second thing is wood ash. And I take the ash from wood that I've collected from the forest area around here, and I burn that in my little burn pile over here, and collect the ash and add it to the soil. You don't have to add much. There's 1 or 2 cups for a 100 square foot area, and that's all you need to add the potassium and calcium to the soil type.
Can you put too much cow dung in?
I'm sure you can. But again, it's so forgiving that. So in this soil type, our soil type is called Ultisol, which is Ultisol, and it's the most common soil type in this region, in the southeast of the U.S. And for this soil type, all of the elements are in the soil and plant available, except for potassium and calcium. They're there in the soil, but they're not so plant available. So trees help make them plant available, and then you burn the trees, you get the wood ash, and then you add that to the soil, and then you have plant available calcium, potassium. And so for Ultisol, you have to add potassium, calcium, and organic matter, which the best source of organic matter is cow dung. Because, as we mentioned previously, it's antiseptic. And also from one cow, you can get up to 80 pounds of manure a day. So we have 50 cows, so in theory, we could get up to 4,000 pounds of manure daily.
Wow.
From our cows. So you add that, you get the organic matter in the soil. You add your wood ash, you get the potassium and calcium that's lacking in our soil type. And that's pretty much it. The third thing that I add, which you can see here, is hay. And so I use hay as mulch, and the hay helps keep the moisture in the ground.
Now we can see it.
Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, the hay helps keep the moisture in the ground. It also, so what I'll do is I'll kind of plow up an area. I've just been using hand tools thus far. And so I'll plow up a little area with a shovel or a mattock or something like that. And then spread a bunch of cow dung. Spread a little bit of wood ash. And then cover that with hay. And then let it sit for a month or so, and then you can plant into that. So this area that you're looking at right there, I'm basically prepping this area for the next season. So maybe I'll plant something over the fall and winter, but you know, I could very well just wait until next spring, and maybe I'll plant some okra there or some, I don't know. We'll see.
So, yes, so what varieties of vegetables did you, and what did you had the most success with? What were your what mistakes did you make, and what did you learn from, you know?
Yeah, I've made plenty of mistakes, that's for sure, and you know, trying to learn. Like I said, it's my first time doing this, but the varieties of things that I've grown. This year we started out with beets and carrots, and those did pretty well. Especially the beets did quite well. Then
I heard they were very large.
They were.
I didn't see them, but Ma Lakshmi was mentioning.
They were sizable, and I don't even think they got to their full size because I planted them kind of late, and they don't like the heat so much. So, but they came out good, and the beet greens, there were lots of beet greens. They're
good for subjis or beet greens or salad.
Yeah, you can cook it just like a spinach.
Really?
Yeah, and the stalk is kind of like a celery. It's very tasty.
You know, in India they do something with the beets, and they make it like almost like a kofta bowl. It's like breaded, and it's quite interesting preparation.
Shredded beet, it's breaded.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah, it's very interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, go ahead. So.
Yeah, beets, carrots, and then we had snow peas. There was something else that I did at that time. Anyway, then I did kale. I tried cauliflower. And let's see, since then we've planted a lot of okra. The okra is the tall stuff in the back here that I'm still getting quite a bit from these plants, which is just a handful of plants I'm getting.
They were big. Those are big okras.
Yeah, and part of that's the really tall ones over here on the right. That's because I planted them too close together.
Yeah.
So they're competing for sunlight. So instead of growing out and getting bushy, they've just grown up.
But I was talking about the size of the okra itself.
Oh, yeah, well.
They were rather large.
Yeah, and you know, it's a trick harvesting them at the right time. You want to harvest them before they get too big, and because when they get too big, they'll get too woody, and then they're not tender and they're not delicious. But you also maybe don't want to pick them too small because then you're kind of minimizing the yield you can get. So you got to find that magic amount. But yeah, this variety, the okras can get up to 5 or 6 inches without becoming too woody. So there is a larger variety in that sense.
And there was bitter melon?
Yep, bitter melon. What kinds of squashes? This type of squash right here. This is a Seminole squash.
Let me see if I got it. Hold on. Yeah, I got it now.
Kind of like a medium-sized pumpkin kind of thing. And loofah squash. You see over there, I don't know how well you can pick that up, but hanging off of this fence.
Yeah, let me get a little closer. I think it's in the camera. Yeah, it's hard with the light, but I think I see it. Yeah.
That's a variety of loofah squash that's growing really well here. And if you pan over to your right here, this is yucca. And that's what they make tapioca out of.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. So
you mean it's not yucky? It's yucca.
That's right. Yeah. They also call it cassava.
Cassava, I've heard. Yeah.
And so yeah, it has these.
How do they make the tapioca? From what?
From the roots.
From the roots.
Apparently, the young leaves are also edible. That's what I've read, but they don't taste too good to me. So I don't know. But the roots, they get these big tuber roots that you can boil or roast, but you can also dry it out and make tapioca from it, or powder. You can make basically tapioca powder that you can.
Good for gut disease.
Yeah, it's good for a lot of things. You can do so much with it. And then, so you said bitter melon. You got this type of squash. I've done butternut squash. I have turmeric growing over here. There's some lemongrass over there. We grew corn. And
yeah, I saw the corn.
Mm-hmm.
When it was, I saw that.
I think you tried some, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was very good.
Some of the cream corn.
Yeah.
And I know there's a few other things.
From just this area,
which is
there was quite a bit of vegetables coming out of it.
Yeah, it's actually a very small area. So,
and just one person working this area.
It's fenced in 60 feet by 60 feet, and less than half of that's actually being utilized.
But now, I'm not trying to sound critical. I mean, just trying to understand. I know when you originally were doing this, there were beds back in there, and they were very neatly, and this is at the end of the season. But over here, it seems kind of wild.
Well, yeah, so, I'm preferring the au naturel approach, and so it has gotten quite out of hand. Now, this stuff here is not bothersome to me because I'm not planting here right now, and I would much prefer it to grow like this than to bring a lawnmower in or, have to weed whack it or something, because it's not harming anything. And it's
just keeping the fire ants out. That's the main thing.
Yeah, and it's true. But I haven't stepped in any big mounds, so it hasn't bothered me too much.
I heard Shuddhakirti said, I think it was Shuddhakirti or Harisari, who said that when Prabhupada would hear the lawnmower cutting the grass, he would hear the grass crying.
I've heard that said as well. And
because in a place like this, we have to keep the grass cut.
Whether the grass is crying or not, I'm crying.
Yeah.
When the lawnmower goes on, because it's so annoying.
But for the public, we need to keep this area manicured.
Sure.
And then otherwise, other entities take over.
Yeah, it's true.
Prabhupada didn't say don't do it. He just said, I can hear the grass crying.
Yeah, and we should be reasonable about how often we do it and what. One interesting thing while we're on that topic. So I'll come out here in the morning time, and I'll see in this area that I've let grow quite wild, and in the area behind the fence, which has also been let just, is growing quite wild. Now, you can't tell right now. You can maybe see some yellow flowers here and there. And stuff.
Yes.
But if you come in the morning time, say before 9 a.m., then you will see all of these yellow flowers in bloom. And not only that, but there's little purple flowers. And then there's also little blue flowers and little red and pink flowers. And they're in full bloom at that time of the morning. And you come here, and the place is literally abuzz with activity. There's all sorts of bees that come by.
Oh.
And they are very happy here.
Oh.
So when we over-mow our lawns, it destroys a lot of the natural wildflowers that would normally be blooming.
These are wildflowers? They're not a part of the plants themselves?
Some of the yellow ones are part of the loofah squash.
Yeah.
Now the purple ones, they're just from some other random sort of vine or other type of, some flowering thing. And these blue flowers and red flowers as well. I mean, there's these tiny little yellow flowers. I don't know if a bee's going to care about these, but they come out here in full force in the morning time. So there's something to be said about not over mowing.
Now, also, though, one point is that we could maybe get someone like Nanda Sutta to set up a couple of hives over here and get some honey out of that. But you're basically, your garden ended where that back in there's another garden that was being done previously.
Correct.
And has nothing to do with this one. Mm-hmm. And there was nothing done to the soil here by, I believe it was Ram Toshan, who was working back there. I don't know if you can see it in the camera right now, but it's back further. And so that, and it's still some things were done. I think they got some potatoes out of there. Tamal Krishna was...
They've done a little bit this season.
Yeah.
They got some potatoes.
So, but that's a completely separate thing from this.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, I mean, I've been... The back part of this fenced-in area was being used by Ram Toshan the previous years. And And he did a nice job
He did,
maintaining the
yeah,
soil,
yeah.
and you know, but he's just been too busy to keep up with it.
Well, he has another garden going on. He has a piece
That
of
too.
property over on Beecher Powell
He's got a
now,
full-time job, and he's
He's got a
studying,
full-time
and has a
job.
family, so.
and he's actually planning on moving to New Orleans.
Right.
So, which is sad, and but necessary, I guess. So, yeah. Anything else you'd like to say about your project? Because I mean, yeah. I remember also like there were certain living entities
Right, yeah.
that were bothering you, and
You had mentioned that I had some raised beds back here. And
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And yeah, that's one reason that it's also kind of, but I've had to let it go. Is yeah, so there were armadillos that were coming, and they were rooting in these very kind of carefully built raised beds that I had made, and you know, I wanted to make a great habitat for earthworms to come. So I just filled it with a bunch of cow manure and hay, and it was, you know, really soft, freshly tilled soil that was very rich.
Yeah, we should have filmed that because I saw that. That was
very
nice.
Cool because of all the mulch on it. It was kept at a low temperature and very moist because that hay was holding in the moisture. So the earthworms loved it. But then the armadillos loved it because there were so many earthworms and other bugs in there. So the armadillos came, and they would come in the night and just tear up everything.
I saw, yeah.
And it looked like a World War I, you know, no man's land. It was just, you know...
And what was the reason for having raised beds rather than just flat, you know, rows?
Well, I didn't really know any better, and I had seen some stuff online where this guy did something similar, and I was basically just trying to copy him. And in the future, they would be useful for, especially for root vegetables. So for those beets that I grew, for other carrots and root vegetables that need a nice, you know, soft, deep growing medium to grow in. But for other stuff, it's not so necessary, you know. Now the okra that I planted in some of these raised beds also did great. You know, they seem to really like it. And okra can get kind of deep roots as well. So it didn't hurt. But the okra that I planted in non-raised beds that I didn't build up like that, they performed similarly. So it's not so necessary for other crops. So anyway, yeah, the armadillos came and they really set me back.
But what was the solution?
The solution was building this fence. It's just a short fence that you know, it's made of chicken wire and some bamboo. And you know, I dug a trench on the perimeter, and so the chicken wire is buried about 6 inches under the ground, and I just tied the chicken wire up to these bamboo posts with simple twine, and that's it.
And what's the value of the earthworm to the soil?
Well, so the earthworm, basically the earthworm is going to do all the heavy lifting for you, because you know, Prabhupada, whenever Prabhupada would talk about farm living and stuff like that, he would often mention the verse from Sri Upanishad, the Purnamidam.
Om Purnamidam Purnamevashati Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. It's all perfect and complete.
Yeah, the whole creation is complete.
That's right.
Krishna is fully complete, and every part of the creation that's an expansion of him is also fully complete in and of itself. So the point is that everything that the plants require is actually already there in the soil. So it's really not necessary for us to go out and buy big bags of chemicals or artificial fertilizer or whatever else from Home Depot. It's not necessary. What is necessary is to make a good habitat for the microorganisms and the insects, who they're going to do the heavy work for you. They're going to do all the legwork, and they're going to make those elements that are there in the soil, they're going to make them available to the plants. So it's called building your soil food web. And when you do that, your microorganisms in the soil are happy, the fungi are happy, the insects are happy, the earthworms are some of the most important players in all that.
So there's less disease in the plants?
I haven't used any sort of fungicide or any sort of pesticide at all, and I haven't had any problems this year. No.
Yeah, so anyway, I have to say to any, you know, because this is the end of the season, that the way it looks now
it looks
compared,
pretty rough.
yeah, but it was quite a sight to be seen. It was really, it looked like a painting. It was really beautiful.
These okra plants are quite spindly looking, and some of them on the left side here are basically dead at this point. They're still producing a few okras, and so I'm just letting them go. But they were very, very bushy and super green for a long time, for months, and producing a ton.
But they were just too close together.
Well, on the right side they were too close together. On the left side they were spaced about right. There was one of my okra plants was so bushy and so productive. There was one day I harvested every other day for my okra plants, and there was one day that I went out there and I got 11 full-sized okras off of one plant.
Wow.
Which, that was my record. I think 11 or 12 was my
How
record.
many weeks did they produce?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Maybe even 8 weeks. 6 to 8 weeks they were producing.
Yeah.
And okra grows really well here, and it's something that you can plant as early as, say, the end of February, and it will grow and give okra up until December. Now, I mean...
From February to December?
Yeah, not the same plants. You'll have to plant in succession.
But can you plant the okra in the same location, or would you rotate it?
You should rotate. I mean, I've read where Prabhupada said that you shouldn't overuse the soil, and that basically you should grow, only use the soil once in a year. So my understanding of that is, if you have one little area of, say, 100 square feet, 10 foot by 10 foot,
yeah,
then, just something like okra is going to, you're going to get a lot out of that for, say, 2 or 3 months. You're going to get out of that. So then don't plant that, same space for until the next year. And we have so much land here, why not just make another 10 foot by 10 foot place next to it?
So you have to keep a record what has been planted where.
Sure, we've got a journal. We've got a garden journal.
Yeah, that's... Anything else you want to say about?
Well, it's just it's a lot easier than people might think. It's one of my favorite writers growing up. My favorite people to read was Thoreau, Prabhupada. I don't know how much Prabhupada quoted him, but he's on the back of the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, sure.
And anyway, his mantra, Thoreau's mantra, was simplify, simplify, simplify.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it's taking a lot of work and it seems very difficult, then you're probably doing it wrong. Prabhupada said that if we're doing it right, then we can supply all of our food that we require in about 3 months.
And what percentage of the vegetables went to the deities?
90%, 95%. I cook for myself as well sometimes if, try to avoid some of the heavy prashadam.
Yeah.
So,
but that's also offered, though.
Yeah, of course.
So,
of course.
So then it all went, because you're the devotee who's doing the work. So it's 100%. It's 100%.
Didn't go directly to the deity kitchen though. So.
Oh well, that's
But yeah, I try to give almost all of it to the deity kitchen, and if I've also given to other devotees in the community and stuff like that. But.
Yeah, and I could see, it was quite impressive there, for several weeks there, and I'm not a big fan of okra, but I could see all the devotees, my wife included, were really relishing it. I am a big fan of bitter melon, and there was a lot of bitter melon, and I don't usually eat, because I have a special diet, but I couldn't resist seeing those bitter melon bakors, or they're just where they make them like chips.
Those are the best.
That's I can't help myself.
They're very good.
So I would break my diet, thanks to you.
Well, Jayanti was bringing, I think, the most bitter melon.
Oh, really?
My bitter melon plants, there were only actually 2 plants of bitter melon for me, but they were giving quite a bit for a few weeks, and now I'll get one here and there still, but yeah, the okra has been my biggest producer by far this year, and yeah, these loofah squashes are second place. They're producing quite a bit.
So you're going to is there going to be anything else coming out of here?
This year, probably not. I'm not planning to plant anything else this year. I've got other projects going on the rest of this year, but we might do some farming for the fall on another plot.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
that's another issue. That's another thing. Okay, then. So I'd like to thank Bhakta Jesse Prabhu for his service and for letting us come down here and explaining his. Well, I live right across, and I watch him every day, and yeah, I'm an armchair admirer. I watch him work, and I sit and listen to Prabhupada and say, "See, this is Bhakti Yoga in practice."
It's only with your blessings, Prabhu, that we can do this.
It's Prabhupada. It's all Prabhupada. And Gaurnitai and Shri Radha Kanta. Jai. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai. Haribol. See, turning off. All right, so what do we got here? What's going on here?
So this is persimmons that are drying in the windowsill on a little bamboo pole. This is a technique I found on the internet. It's a Japanese method called hoshigaki, and it's basically just dried persimmons. So yeah, you leave part of the stem on.
Yeah, bring it in a little close because I think the lighting is kind of not really.
How well you can see.
Yeah, that's a little better, I think.
You basically you peel it, but you leave this top part off with a bit of the stem on there, and you tie a little string around it. And then you tie the other end of the string around another one that you've done the same thing to.
And you just let it sit in the sunlight.
You just let it sit in the sunlight. And because they're unripe when you peel them, the bugs aren't coming after them. So, yeah, and after about 3 weeks or 4 weeks, then you'll have nice dried persimmon, in theory. This is my first time to do it, but that's how they told me to do it online, so I'm trying it out.
So it's like persimmon beef jerky?
Basically, yeah.
Persimmon jerky.
That's right, persimmon jerky. And there's other ways too. That apparently the Native Americans would take the fresh pulp and spread it out on a piece of wood, and then I guess cover it somehow, and then it would be like a fruit roll up or fruit leather. Or something.
Really? I think I've even seen things like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I shouldn't have said the other thing, but it's a way to give the. But
it's the same concept though, because it's a nice way to preserve it. Because otherwise, persimmon does not last very long.
No.
It's very fragile,
and it's very hard to consume sometimes because of its consistency.
Yeah, some people aren't big fans of the sliminess, and I don't know if that's mold or what, but I'll have to keep a close eye on these things.
It's an experiment. Yeah, how long have they been hanging here?
A few days. All right. There's 2 or 3 days.
So then over here, this is there's some renovating here. So over here we have. This is better light here.
So these are my seeds that I've been saving from stuff that I've grown. Here, these are quart bags, and
if you can put them this over here.
Okay, yeah, sure.
The light is good.
So I'll just put them on the table.
Yeah.
So here's
that's
half
perfect.
a quart, another half a quart. These are okra seeds that I've saved from. These are okra pods that I've let grow on. You just let them grow to their full size on the plant.
Yeah.
Let them reach full maturity, and then you let them fully dry on the plant until this part turns brown. And then you pick them off and break them open and save the seeds. These are coriander seeds that we've saved from the coriander that Ram Toshan was growing. It's very easy to harvest those seeds. And these are bitter melon seeds. So there's maybe a quarter of this bag is filled with. It's probably about 500 seeds or so, maybe 400.
Wow, so that's 500 plants.
That's 500 plants, and I got all of these seeds from 2 plants.
500 seeds from 2 plants.
Yeah, and that's just from the bitter melon that I used for seed.
That is pretty good return for your. Who else can say that they make a machine that creates so many, so many byproducts.
Not even one machine will self-replicate, but these organic machines that Krishna's made, very, very good for these things.
So okay,
so that's pretty much it.
This is another aspect of the whole thing, and then keeping all this together. So there's a lot of different, lessons to be learned.
Seed saving is a very important thing, and so I'm trying to learn how to do it.
And then there are seeds, not something that we're buying from, Monsanto or someone else like that.
That's right, and it's another thing about saving your seeds is that every year that you grow seeds from your own plants, your seed generationally becomes more acclimated to your soil type and your climate. and especially if you only save seeds from the best plants that you're growing. And then you can, it's kind of like natural genetic modification, like Gregor Mendel or something, you know. So,
wow. It's
yeah.
Krishna's modification.
Yeah.
Or Bhumi's modification.
It's intelligently, naturally, just...
Not artificially, but naturally.
Yes.
You could do a little commercial. Not artificially but naturally modified.
Better ingredients, better gardening. Papa Jesse.
Papa Jesse. Haribo. Bhakta Jesse. Papa Jesse. Haribo.